was a place where there's no trouble, no more pain, no more struggle.
Hi there. Thank you so much for listening to Grounded in Maine today. My name is Amy. I am so thrilled to be speaking with Nicole Caron of Sunny Bee Apiary, who is she's sort of a neighbor. She lives about a quarter of a mile from me, but we only just met this year. We've lived in the same place for 13 years, we discovered. But she has an apiary. Of course, she's a beekeeper. She's a newer beekeeper, so I thought that would be ideal for people who might be thinking about getting into it, to talk to someone who's fresh in that. And she has so much knowledge. She really, really researched before she got started, and she's got some great stories. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. She also, if you happen to live in the area, she grows amazing flowers. If you read the show notes, you'll get her deets, how to reach her and find her and follow her. And she said she is happy to talk to anybody who's interested in getting started. So I'm just going to go straight to my chat with Nicole. Hello, thank you so much for listening to Grounded in Maine today. My name is Amy, and I am speaking today with Nicole Caron. Hi, Nicole.
Hi.
How are you?
Hi, Amy. Good. How are you?
Good.
Thanks for having me.
Yes. Oh, I'm so thrilled. I'm so thrilled this worked out. I am so glad that I ran into you at Replenova. It feels so weird that we live so close, but we
I know. We
never
knew.
met until just this year.
Yep. That's crazy.
Oh my gosh. So I'm going to admit first off that I'm terrified of bees, but really anything that flies. But bees just come closer to me, so they're at the top of my list.
I get it.
But I can totally appreciate the work that goes into beekeeping and the great things that they do. So how did you decide to raise bees?
Well, I always kind of wanted to be a beekeeper when I was a kid. And beekeeping wasn't as big as it is today. So I always, I wanted the little hive and to wear like the suit and but it never really went anywhere. And then a couple of years ago, I had the opportunity to start. So I did. I picked out a couple of hives and educated myself and just went for it.
That's amazing. That's really amazing. And you wanted to do it all along.
Yep. I've always wanted to. Yep. Even though I was terrified of bees, mind you, I've always been terrified of bees. It's been quite an experience over the past couple of years with them. Wow. Trying to get myself out of that.
Wow. I was stung once when I was like 8, and I can tell you exactly where it was, on the top of my left arm.
Oh no. Yeah, it sticks with people for a long time. It's traumatizing.
Gosh. And so let's see. I do have a couple of questions. So I have a small series of questions. So I had posted on Facebook that I was going to be talking to you, and I asked if any of my people that are listening had questions. So Carrie, a friend of mine, asked how much time is involved in that, and then are nights and weekends enough?
So beekeeping, a lot of people do it on weekends because, they work full time, and it can be done on just the weekends. But sometimes you really need to get in there during the week because there's things happening in the hive, like, they're starting to think about swarming, or you've got to feed them every day because we're in a drought, or they need mite treatments because they can get mites. And there's so many different things happening in the hive that sometimes it needs a little bit more than just the weekends.
Okay. So it could technically be weekends, but there are instances where you would need to be on the ball and just
Yes.
available.
Yep.
Gotcha. Okay. And then how much time would you say that you dedicate to it?
Um, I would say so last week. I'll go with last week. Right now, I'm feeding my bees because of the drought and trying to build up stores for the winter because they need stores to survive the winter. So I want to make sure they've got enough. So I'm feeding them and giving them treatments last week and taking boxes on and off. So I think probably about 6, 7 hours last week.
Okay. And when you say stores, is that stores of food?
Yes, which is their honey. Yep.
Okay. And
Yep.
then, okay, so the honey is the food. And then you said you were saying taking boxes off?
Yep. Because, this time of year, you've got to start like slowly taking them down in order to get them through the winter. Because you don't want to give them too much space in the winter.
Then they get cold.
They can get cold. There's so many things that can go on in the winter. It's pretty hard to get them through the winter. This past winter was my first, and I got them through, which is a difficult thing for a new beekeeper.
Mm.
But I got 3 hives through the winter, and they did amazing. Um, but yeah, winter's a tough one, especially last year, but they made it.
Awesome. That's great. How did you get them through winter? What do you do for winter?
So
Besides
what I
downside?
do, all beekeepers do it differently. There's no right way or wrong way. Um, I A lot of people do upper ventilation. I don't. I give them what's called a quilt box that's filled with shavings that you might use for like a rabbit cage or something like that to help absorb the moisture in the hive.
Okay.
And then I wrap them in that thick pink insulation that you can find at Home Depot.
Okay.
And then I wrap that with that silver, like it looks like bubble wrap insulation. I wrap that around them. And I even have like a little monitor inside that
Oh,
can tell me through my phone how much humidity is in there, what the temperature is in there, and I can tell from it going up and down what's happening in there. If they're too cold, if it'll get really cold and I'll know that something bad is happening in there, like they've passed away,
oh,
anything.
wow.
Um, and then
That's
once
cool. So
you
I would guess that would be recommended, that thermometer or sensor thing.
Yeah, a lot of people don't use one, but especially, it was my first winter. I wanted to know exactly what was going on
Yeah,
in their hives. So,
I'll believe that.
yeah, but I'll definitely be using that again because it was pretty helpful.
Okay. And then I think it was Carrie also that asked, what is the like startup cost?
I would say the startup cost is probably around like $500-600. It depends on, what kind of hive you're buying. I myself bought 2 Hoover hives, which are hives that are dipped in beeswax instead of you having to paint them. Um, they're on the cheaper side. I think it was about 250 or $300 for one.
Okay.
And then, you've got to buy your bees. And because of inflation, of course, that's gone up as well. I think my bees were one package of bees was about $125, 150 at the time. Now I would say it could be around $200.
Hmm.
So it can be pretty expensive to start with.
Right.
Um, and it also depends on through the year, what's going on with your bees. If you have to buy mite treatments, those can be expensive too. But yeah, I want to say like minimum $500.
Okay. All right. And then let's see. So Kate asked how much space or land is required to keep bees.
So there's no, where I live, there's no requirement that I have ever found.
Hmm.
But every town, you would have to check with your town office to see how much space you would need. Um, like in Portland, I think that you can have like a half an acre or a quarter of an acre. I know someone that has a quarter of an acre and he's got like 4 or 5 hives on it.
Wow.
So yeah, and of course you also have to think about your neighbors. Always think
Mhm.
about your neighbors because the bees, especially if they have a swimming pool, because the bees really love chlorine. No,
Weird.
I do. Yeah, very weird. But yes, they will join you swimming in your pool. And a
Mm.
lot of people don't like that. So you've got to definitely check with your surroundings and make sure your neighbors aren't allergic to bees or completely terrified of bees.
Right.
Oh,
Wow. Because they do move around. Like they get out
yes.
of the hive during the day.
They leave the hive continuously during the day and they can fly between, some people say up to 2 miles, some say up to three. I think it's like, about 3-ish miles
Wow.
that they'll travel looking for food.
Okay.
Yep.
No, there's food in their hive.
Yes, because they have to keep storing it because they take the honey and the pollen that they store and they make food for the babies that are in the
Oh,
hive. So they have to, constantly replenish.
gotcha. Okay.
Yep.
So Nicole, have you been stung yet?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes.
Many a time. My very first experience with getting stung since I've had the bees was when I got my first package. Someone told me, and I should not have listened, that it's completely safe when you first get your bees to not have to wear your bee suit because they're so calm. Well, my mistake was I listened
Oh,
and I shouldn't have, because I was still pretty afraid of them at that time. So I'm surprised at myself that I actually did listen. So I went to go put the bees into their new home, and they come in this little, like, they call it like a bee bus, but it's pretty much made of wood and screen. And in the center and the top, they put a can, kind of looks like a soup can, and they put holes in the bottom of it, and it's filled with sugar syrup. So this can had no holes in it. So these bees were very hungry and they just traveled from Georgia.
oh my goodness.
So they were angry or hangry. Um, so
Wow,
when I
right?
put them in their new little home, they said, "Who's who's this lady? Let's get her."
Right.
And they did.
Is
So
this your fault?
what's that?
Is this your fault that we're like this?
Um, that they chased me.
That they were mad at you, right? Yeah. This must be your fault. You're the reason that we're
Oh,
in
for
such.
sure, for
Yeah.
sure. But yes, I ran across my yard screaming like the bees were inside my clothes. So I'm
Oh
trying to
gosh.
hide behind the bushes while
Oh.
I'm like trying to rip my shirt off. And yes, so to any new beekeeper, I highly recommend that you always wear your suit
Hmm.
and gloves.
Yeah. Wow. So I would think that if you were starting out, so I'm learning about this with chickens. Like I know when we first got chickens, we got them from Brooks Feed and Farm, and
Yep,
they come shipped from wherever they come from.
away.
And
Yeah,
so now that I know more, I'm like looking elsewhere, like locally for
yes.
chickens.
Yep,
And I would think that if I were to start bees, I would want to find a local bee person
yes,
and like
absolutely.
local to me, like close to me, and like get those bees. And then I would think that that local person would maybe follow through and be like, let me just make sure that you get them in. Because
Yeah,
I can't imagine like how stressful that must have been. I mean, first of all, to not know exactly what it was going to be like, and then to get stung. It was more than
yeah.
once, right?
Oh, yeah. I
Oh
think
my
I got stung about 12 times.
that's insane.
Yeah, and with my very first experience having bees, that was not a good time.
Welcome to beekeeping.
Right? Welcome to beekeeping the hard way.
Oh my gosh.
Um, But I mean, yes, you can get them from away, but I wasn't as educated with the bees at that time.
Sure.
So I ordered them through a local bee company,
Mhm.
which gets them from Georgia. They travel to Georgia to bring them up here to sell to people. And these bees come from um, big corporations that truck all these bees out to California to pollinate the almonds.
Mm.
So when they bring them back, they don't need as many bees. So they dump them all into this little bee bus and they ship them to all these beekeepers who want bees.
Wow.
So you never know what you're getting.
Wow.
And you don't know how old like your queen is, which is pretty important to know, I think. Because it depends on how much she can still lay, how old she is. There's a lot of factors that go into it.
And didn't you just lose a queen?
I did because it was one of my Georgia queens. I had no idea how old she was, and now I'm assuming that she was probably 3 years old. And really, you should requeen after you get a package from Georgia
Mm.
because you really don't know anything about this queen. And I never did that. I just figured I don't want to kill my queen. I'm just going to let her live out her life. Well, the bees decided you're not laying enough. It's time for you to hit the bricks. So,
Whoa.
so they threw her out of the hive and I watched them kill her. It was horrible.
Oh my gosh.
They ball her, like she'll be on the ground and they ball her and they heat up so much that they basically cook her. It's very sad, but that's what they do.
Oh my gosh. I thought that
Yeah,
they like lived to serve the queen.
they do. But
But
when
if
she's
she's
no
not
longer doing
giving
her
them babies.
job, she's like, off with the head.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
intense.
Yeah. So I
Wow.
always recommend that, anyone getting started in beekeeping, join a club, first of all, even before you have bees, join a club because they'll tell you where you can get your bees from. Local beekeepers sell nukes. A nuke is basically like a mini beehive. It's got 5 frames of bees in it, and they'll sell that to you, usually around $200 or so. But they're local bees. It's an overwintered queen, which is way better than having a Georgia queen because she's only used to the hot temperatures.
Right.
She's never seen a Maine winter.
Gosh, right.
um, but bees from around here have, and especially if that queen has already overwintered once, that's huge. It's huge
Yeah.
part in getting them through the winter.
Wow. Yeah, that's a great
Yeah.
suggestion too. I mean, and then you might be able to find someone close to you who would help in that, ease that first meeting.
Yeah, you can, joining a bee club too, you can ask for a mentor.
Yeah.
um I had a mentor my first year, and it was a huge help for things that I didn't already know. I would call him in a panic. Oh my God, I don't know what's happening right now, but this is what they're doing. And,
Mm.
he would talk me off the ledge, calm me down a little bit, and then tell me, explain it to me. And then I'd be like, okay, all right, nothing bad's happening. It's just what they do. It's going
Right.
to be okay.
Wow. Phew. I mean, it sounds kind of like sort of like having a new baby. You don't know what everything is, and
Yes.
you call the doctor every 5 minutes, and so the mentor is like that person to,
Yeah.
like you said, talk you down.
Yep.
That sounds like a really important, a, like a really important thing. And whether a mentor or even just a buddy, someone
Yeah.
who's done it that can, be there to support. That's amazing. I'm so thank
Sure.
goodness there are things like that.
Absolutely. I have my friend, Mary. She lives in the next town over, and her and I met, I want to say like almost 2 years ago. And we bounce things off of each other all the time. And it's nice to have someone that you can just talk bees with, because if like I just called you all the time and talked to you about my bees, you'd be like, oh my God, Nicole, stop.
Stop with the bees.
Exactly. So you need someone to
I
be able
can't
to
help
bounce.
you.
You've really got to have somebody you can bounce questions off and, just be there to comfort you when your bees are having a bad day.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. And I think that you were telling me that they have bad days.
They do. They do. Like right now, mine are they're pretty angry right now, which they tend to be a little bit more angry in the fallish time because, they're preparing for winter and oh my gosh, we have to get so much
Mm.
nectar in the hive so we can make honey. And, so the hives are crazy right now. So when I pop them open, they they all come out, and the ones that want to get to me will just start pinging off of my veil.
Oh my
and
gosh.
and normally they don't do that. I open up the top and they're calm. They look at me and I just do my thing. But this time of year, they're out for my blood.
Oh gosh. Oh,
They're lucky I love them like my children.
yeah. Well, so, and you were telling me too, Nicole, that you had nursed a hive.
I did. I did. I
In your
call it,
first year, you nursed a hive.
I did. Someone contacted me and said that there was a beekeeper that was now highly allergic to his bees, and I said, I'll come take a look at them and see if I can bring them back home or what's going on with them. Well, this beekeeper didn't believe in mite treatments,
Oh.
and mites can be very dangerous for bees,
Mm.
varroa mites, and they came to the United States in the 80s. And they've been attacking and sometimes killing our bees since then.
Oh my gosh.
So you want to make sure that you treat your hive, or it can turn into what's called a mite bomb, and they can get several diseases from these mites. So I checked the bees. I did what's called a mite wash to find out how many mites they had. Well, they had so many mites, I couldn't even count them all. And normally, you do a mite wash and you might see 2, 3, 4 mites. And, that tells you, it might be time to start treating them. Well, there was, I want to say upwards of 50 mites in there.
Oh my
They
God.
they had a couple of viruses. They were pretty sick and losing bees pretty rapidly. So I treated them for almost a month straight to get them back to health to where I could bring them safely back to my apiary, and they wouldn't make my other bees sick. So I really didn't think that they would make it through the winter. And the Maine State Apiary inspector told me they're not going to make it through the winter. They're too small. They've just come out of all of these sicknesses and they're
Yeah.
not going to make it. Sorry, Nicole. Well, I proved her wrong.
Ha ha.
And and now they're doing quite well. They're actually one of my stronger hives now.
Are they the ones that took out the queen?
No,
Oh,
no, one of the other hives did. Yeah. Um, but yeah, they're doing spectacular now. And I'm so thankful because they are the calmest bees ever. They're so
oh.
sweet. I love them. They're my favorite.
Well, that makes sense though, because you spent a lot of time with them. Like
Yeah.
I know that I've had that with chickens and
Yeah.
we do that with our pets anyway. The ones that have
Right.
that are compromised in any way, we spend
Right.
extra time with them, and that bond is stronger.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Bees are
Yep.
no different, I guess, huh?
They start to recognize the beekeeper after a while, and they'll do, they start to, when the new babies are born, they will,
Babies.
their baby bees are the cutest things ever. I don't care what anybody says. They have this yellow, almost whitish hair all over them.
Oh, Jesus.
They're just adorable. I might be one of the few people that thinks that they're adorable, but they really are. And they have several jobs in the hive. And when it's their time to start taking flights to find pollen and nectar, they do figure eights in front of the hive so that they can recognize their surroundings so they know how to find their way home.
Oh my goodness.
And it's just that, I don't know, I find them so amazing and so fun to learn about. You'd be amazed at the things that they do in the hive, and they dance to tell everyone else in the hive where they can find food. I mean, that's amazing. I, it
Wow.
floors me. Yeah, yeah, they're just kind of.
Have you taken like video or pictures of like baby bees or the
I think I might have a couple pictures of baby bees that I can send you.
that would be awesome to share.
Yeah, they're super adorable.
Cool.
I'm sure everyone else will think that too.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean I like so Carrie and Kate are both really interested in starting up some bees and so they were asking, if it's even something that they could consider. And how many you said you started with 3 hives or 2 hives?
I started with two.
How
Um,
many bees are in a hive?
it depends on how big the hive is. If it's doing really well, there can be, wow, there could be like 60,000 bees inside of a hive. And when you
Oh,
get a package, there's, probably about 3,000 bees in there. And once the queen starts laying, the hive, as long as nothing happens, like they get sick or anything, that hive grows very quickly. And
holy.
the bigger it grows, the more boxes you have to put on it. And then they start bringing in the honey and storing the honey. And that's where you get your honey from.
Oh my gosh. So you start off with like 3,000 bees in a package, and then
Yep.
once the queen starts laying, it just multiplies like crazy.
Yeah.
Up to
She can,
60,000 in a hive.
the queen can lay about 2,000 babies a day, eggs a day. Yeah.
A day?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Oh my gosh.
Yep.
Whew. Oh my gosh. Uh, I'm really curious about the honey part. So I've never seen a real hive. So
You have to come over. I
I
have a suit
know
for you. No worries.
you've got a suit for me though. I
I
think
do.
um, I'm gonna double up. Um, but did you get beeswax this year?
I did get some beeswax. I
That's
did.
pretty cool.
Yep. I use it to make lip balm and candles and um, what else do I make? My goodness. Lotion bars, I call them, all kinds of different things.
Oh my gosh. And honeycomb? Like, do you eat the honeycomb?
I don't. I've never even tried it, to be honest with you. I do have a friend who loves it. So I gift her some honeycomb, every once in a while, and she loves it. She puts it in her lattes and everything. I don't know. It's just not my thing, I guess, but I do love the honey.
Okay. Oh, it's beautiful honey. Oh my gosh.
Mm.
I just made some elderberry shrub
Oh,
with your honey.
oh,
Just elderberries and vinegar and
mm,
honey.
that
Uh,
sounds really good.
it's it's delicious. Um, so I mean, I feel so dumb because I like. Do the bees just make the honeycomb and the
Yes.
beeswax?
Yes. So bees have honeybees have pores that they secrete the wax from.
Hmm.
Sounds crazy, but then they take the wax and they make the honeycomb from that. Yep. And then the honey, they bring in nectar and they break it down and then it becomes honey. Once it's actual honey, they cap it over on the frame and then you can extract it from there.
Those tiny little bugs, they do all that.
Yeah, they're very, very smart. Like you would never think that they would be this smart, but wow, they really are.
Hmm.
It's
Okay.
super cool.
What are your plans for the future, Nicole? Are you planning to get more bees or are you gonna
No,
make some no.
right now I have three hives and a nuke. Where I am, the nuke is where my new queen is currently living, just to make sure that that hive that lost their queen didn't raise their own queen. Because if I put my new queen in there and they've already made a queen, they will kill my new queen.
Oh my gosh.
So I need to be sure that there's actually no queen in there. I haven't been able to find her. So I don't think there's one in there, but just to be safe, because I don't want my new queen to die. I love her so much already.
Oh. Oh.
Um, so yeah, it's interesting.
Okay. So are you going to be incorporating any new products with your honey or honeycomb, or like do beeswax wraps or anything like that?
Maybe I was thinking about making some of those beeswax wraps.
Yeah. That's very cool. So I have a couple of questions that are going to just sort of tie this into the sustainability topic, I guess. So
Yep.
what would you say makes beekeeping sustainable?
Um, I think first of all, education. I think that's, where it starts. To become a beekeeper, a lot of people don't educate themselves, and it's pretty major to educate yourself as much as possible so that you know how to keep bees so that they can become sustainable. Um, I took, 2 college courses. I took classes from local areas, like the Honey Exchange. And I'm trying to think of there's another one in the area too. But anyway, so I educated myself as much as I possibly could before I got that first package of bees. So that's where it starts.
Okay.
Once you have your bees, you've got to make sure that you're keeping them healthy. Um, you're allowing them to grow, um, with help from your other hives. So, like if your one hive needs a frame of brood, which is the babies that are capped over, you can move it to another hive to give them a little bit of a boost, and vice versa.
Mm.
A lot of people will keep a nuke, like my nuke, as a resource hive so that they can give resources to their other hives, to help them sustain. Um, so those are some pretty major things in order to keep your apiary, which is what they call it, your little beehive area. It's an apiary. Um,
Yours is beautiful.
Thank you.
Your
Thank
yard where
you.
you keep it is so beautiful.
Thank
And
you.
you also have all those flowers, which it must make them so happy.
Yes. Yep. Probably about half of my garden, I make sure that I plant something for the bees. And those plants, I don't cut those flowers because they're specifically for my bees so that, when we have that drought, they still have a resource that they can go to sustain the colony.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. And so for those folks listening, just know if you are in the Brunswick area, Nicole also has a gorgeous farm, a little she has a flower stand at the
I
end of her
do.
driveway, and she has the most beautiful flowers. There are
Oh,
a lot
thank
of
you.
dahlias right now and
Yes.
sunflowers. And what else do you have in your
Oh my God, I have so many. We'd be here for like a half an hour talking about my flowers.
so colorful? You would have to, oh my goodness.
But my dahlias are, my number one favorites. I have right now, I think I have about 35 dahlia plants, um, which is a lot because they have to be dug up every fall.
Yes. But they're
Um,
so showy and beautiful when
oh my
they're
God,
in
I'm
their
in love
thing.
with them. They're so, so, so pretty.
So yeah, I have some folks that are dahlia growers, and they have like thousands of dahlias. It's
Oh my
insane.
God, I need to be their friend.
Ah, I can, yeah.
They can teach me more about dahlias.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're my favorite. They're fantastic. They're so beautiful.
Yeah. And so beekeeping, as far as sustainability, also, I mean, they pollinate the flowers, and they pollinate other things that help us to grow things for ourselves.
They do, absolutely. Yep,
Okay.
they do. Yep, vegetables, gardens, I think my bees probably pollinate anything that you have growing in your yard, because they fly that far.
Mm,
Um, but yeah, my neighbor, she's trying to grow a flower garden, and she loves when my bees come over and visit her.
that's
She
good.
knows that they're pollinating.
All right. Good deal. I got your bees over here, Nicole. They're doing their
does.
thing.
She sends me
Thank you
pictures.
very much.
Yep, she loves it. But
Cool.
I'm glad my bees can help out.
Very good. And so the last question, just to tie everything together, Nicole, when I say the word sustainability, what does that mean to you?
Sustainable, like in general or for beekeeping?
In general.
In general. I think in general, homesteading, really, being able to grow your own food and, look for your food locally, like farms, farm stands, anything like that. I think people need to do more of that instead of buying from stores and, canning, right? I think you do some canning.
I do a little.
Yeah. Like with your corn. That's sustainability. But yeah, anything like that, it's sustainable, and people really need to get into that a little bit more.
Yeah, well, and we're so lucky with all the farms locally.
Oh, we're so lucky. Oh my
Yeah.
God. And I go to all of them.
We have options.
We
Oh,
do.
yeah, because you're right. You hang out with Becky, so you must drive by Watley all the time.
Yes. Yes. Yep. I love their little farm store. It's
The
so
most beautiful tomatoes ever.
Yes. Yep. Oh my God. Makes me hungry when I go by there.
Yes. And they have great ice cream sandwiches, just saying. So if people want to find you,
I haven't had
Nicole,
one of those.
oh my goodness. They're gluten-free, some of them are dairy-free,
Oh.
and they're all delicious.
Mm.
Highly recommend the chocolate bergamot.
Oh. I know where I'm going this week.
Or the chocolate. Or I hear the coffee ones are really popular.
Well, anything with chocolate is like amazing. So
Yeah. And so if people wanted to find you and follow your adventures, or, try to contact you to see if you have suggestions for them, like how would someone find you?
they can find me on Instagram, just under my name. I don't have like a page for my beekeeping or anything like that. But yeah, they can just find me on Instagram. And if they have like your friends that are thinking about getting into it, they can find me and ask me any question.
Awesome.
I'm here to help. Yeah.
And on Instagram, you're Nicole Caron, is that right?
Yes.
Nicole
Nicole Caron.
Okay.
Yep.
And I'm going to put that in the show notes as well.
But I think they can just type in Nicole Caron and I should come up.
I think you're right. Cool. And you are on Facebook as well.
Yes. Yep.
Very cool. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing all of this with us. I feel a little bit better about maybe thinking about bees someday.
Yes, you'll have to come over and visit mine. Help you get over your fear, Amy.
Maybe. But anyway, thank you again. I really appreciate all of this. And like I said, I'm going to add all this information in the show notes, and hopefully Nicole will send us some pictures of baby bees.
Yes, I absolutely will.
All right. Well, thank you again. It's been wonderful.
Thanks for having me, Amy. I appreciate it.
I want to just take a quick second and thank my guest again. I also need to thank Buzzsprout for hosting the podcast, and Jane Bolduck for her amazing music. And thank you for listening.
There'll come a day, my mama told me, when I find love to have and hold me. A heart that's strong and so sincere. Just tell me, how do I get there from here? Oh, tell me, how do I get there from here? 'Cause here and now I'm so far down that we'll find a way to soothe the sickness. We'll heal the ache with sweet forgiveness. Wages of war will disappear. Just tell me, how do I get there from here? I wonder, how do I get there from here? Yeah, 'cause here now I'm so far down, and mercy's bound here to find me. When that state of grace has finally found me, will there be music, ooh, and good friends around me? Yeah, yeah. And I'll just smile through happy tears and wonder,